You know, Reddit is one of those platforms that fell victim to its own success. When it first started, it was an interesting website. It was called Reddit because it was the front page of the internet, and you read it first on Reddit. The ones that don't know how the website functions, because I'm aware many people haven't used it, or from the ones that do, probably didn't use it when it was first launched, because it was a completely different experience back then. And this is because back then the internet wasn't as centralized as it is now. Pretty much every single fandom, every single hobby had a different website. So you'd go online if you wanted to find out stuff about Stargate, and you'd find a website called Gateworld. And there it had a forum where you could interact and talk with other people that like Stargate. If you wanted to talk about Star Wars, then you'd go to a different website, which was also operated by fans, and it also had a forum. And it wasn't just like one website. Like for Stargate, you had like 6 or 7 different places you could go. And again, like there were different websites with different themes, different layouts, different terms of service. But the idea is like the internet was filled with various forums. That's how people talked back then. That's how people communicated. And it was really nice because like every different website had a different community. And so Reddit comes with the idea, it's like, what if we make our Reddit to incorporate all these various forums, which are now called subreddits. And so instead of just like creating a website and have like layout and a graphic designer to make things look good, just so you can have a forum, what if you can just go on Reddit and you create the forum there? And that's pretty much what people did, right? Like they created their own subreddits. Now you had like our Star Wars, our Stargate, so on and so forth. Like different people just started their own communities there. And in the beginning, you had like complete freedom. You had complete free speech. You could just create any subreddit you wanted, and you could set up the own rules you wanted, or you can have no rules whatsoever. But back then, like usually people had rules like do not impersonate, right? Do not spam, do not scam people, do not argue with the moderator. And then people would choose a couple of moderators to enforce the rules, but like it was pretty much like everything goes, right? And so the website becomes successful, and some of the subreddits become absolutely enormous. They become huge. And this is where everything goes to shit, because they chose a CEO by the name of Ellen Pao. People would call her Chairman Pao, and she's the one that actually brought censorship on Reddit. You see, like back then, censoring the internet was unthinkable. It was not just considered disgusting, it was also immoral, and many people were even arguing if it's legal. Because most of the censorship was coming on behalf of the government, right? So like people were saying, well, isn't the government just laundering censorship through the private companies? And Chairman Powell gets to decide like, no, certain subreddits are not allowed, right? So I think like the first casualty was "Our Fat People Hate." Like that was just removed from the platform. And then this normalized the concept that like there are certain topics that you're just not allowed of making subreddits. R. the Donald was one of the biggest ones, a subreddit that was pretty much like for Donald Trump and MAGA, like that wasn't allowed, completely banned off the platform. And then as time moves on, like they become more and more extremists, just banning any type of right-wing subreddits. And so they end up with the subreddits that they wanted, but that wasn't enough. Then they decided, actually, we're going to now push for vague terms of service, right? So like stuff like no hate speech, no medical disinformation, no this or that. And it wasn't like the Reddit admins that would apply the censorship. It was the subreddit owners. So like if you open your Stargate subreddit over there and you're making a community and you're happy, well, now you have to be the Gestapo. Now you have to be the people that censor, because otherwise they can shut down your subreddit. And so censorship became normalized, accepted, and actually embraced on Reddit. Like I am fairly sure that if tomorrow Reddit shuts down and all the Reddit fugees are going to go on other platforms, the first thing they will do is to demand censorship. Because these people just cannot function without censorship anymore. Like they can't even imagine a free internet like it used to be. And so once censorship becomes the norm, it caters to a specific ideology that loves censorship, which is like the far left, the extreme leftists, right? And they radicalize the platform more and more and more until most of the normal people just move away. Like, no one wants to live in a far-left censorship cesspool if they don't have to. And so you end up with a website now that's extremely radical. Like, if you go on Reddit, you see people advocating for violence, glorifying violence, cheering for violence, doing doxing. And in many of these cases, it's illegal. Now, back then in 2016, this wasn't illegal. But again, like, through the pressure of the leftist activists, a lot of European laws are passed that outright ban incitement to violence on the internet. Like, the governments take it more seriously now. And, you know, the European Union, for instance, doesn't like things that they consider extremist content. The United Kingdom wants to pass legislation that that wants to force platforms to ban content that's legal but hateful or harmful, right? And so Reddit is now running afoot in the fact that it wants to do business with the European Union. Like, it wants its sites to be visible in the EU, but at the same time, it doesn't want to get fined by the EU. Because again, like, there are people that are actually glorifying acts of violence on the platform. And it's not like on Twitter where it's like banter or metaphors. Like, no, they are advocating it for real. Like, especially after the Luigi thing happened. Like, there were people praising Luigi. Now, again, you know, I'm not casting moral judgment for this video, right? Because I don't want to get into the morality. I don't have time to go into the morality of Luigi and what I think about it. But what it is fact is that praising him violates European laws and legislations. And so Reddit decides to go with the nuclear option now. And they're not just going to censor that problem. They're going to censor even the people that upvote those posts. And they're going to do it retroactively, right? Which, again, for a normal user that wants to invest time in a platform in order to farm karma and stuff, all of a sudden losing their account, and over a thing retroactively, like over a rule they couldn't predict, it's infuriating. And what's even more so is that it dissuades people from upvoting. Because now people are like, well, hold on a little bit. Like, if I upvote, I can get banned. But if I don't upvote at all, and I don't get banned, and this will fuck with the karma system. This makes the platform even less engaging, even for the far leftists. And so, Reddit, I genuinely think that it can't be sustainable like this. Like, you're going to have an extremist website, which in my opinion is worse than Blue Sky, because Blue Sky, while it is extremist in nature, it does have a lot of influence and a lot of people using it, right? But like Reddit does. A lot of video game companies have sent their grifters from the HR, from the PR teams, in order to co-opt subreddits. Like, for instance, the Battletechs did, right? So, like, they want the platform to exist. But unfortunately, yeah, it's a platform that's for grifters, right? For these corporations that want to create a facade that they have good PR by maintaining subreddits. It's a platform for extreme activists, like far-left extreme activists who coordinate harassments on the internet. And then it's a platform where, yeah, like, you do have, like, some people that are trying to discuss the news, but even that is difficult because, like, the news is filtered, you know? It's not you read it first on Reddit anymore. It's pretty much like, this is the website where the news is allowed because it doesn't upset the consensus that much. And so, like, if you want to actually read news, you go on Twitter. And this is also something that I've noticed. When you have, like, journalists that are trying to report the news from social media, they almost never go on Reddit. Like, they always go on either Twitter, sometimes they go on Facebook, but, like, never on Reddit. Because it's a website that's for the mentally ill. Now, my point is that I wish Reddit doesn't go out of a business, because the internet needs its asylums. We actually had Tumblr back in the day, and when Tumblr went down and many people's dream came true, like, all the Tumblr refugees moved on Twitter, and they started freaking out the leftist journals because they were posting their anime smooth, they were posting their footy shit, you know, and like those were the people that would post those things on Tumblr, and now they're coming on Twitter, they're following all these leftist journalists from New York Times, from the Washington Post, and they flood their timelines with footy shit. And that's when Jack Dorsey had to actually change the algorithm on Twitter. Fun times. But yeah, I think it's a bad idea to ban people for upvoting. I think this goes like beyond the scope of what's needed, but I suppose like if your website is this extreme and has like such extremist content, then the people in charge of Reddit are absolutely desperate when they're looking at their stocks and they notice it keeps going down. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.